Another thing we don't deserve. Another thing we don't deserve is the invasion that's going on in the UK at the moment. The Dinghy invasion, which, as we've seen, is being directly facilitated by France. By the way, Chris Philp was over in France recently, along with Robert Jenrick, and actually documented that the French authorities were facilitating the invasion by moving the predominantly foreign males. In fact, I'll get the video up now a bit quick for you, ladies and gentlemen, because I have got it saved. I'll get the video up for you. Where Chris is showing that the vast majority of people that the French authorities are moving onto this bus to take them to the embarkation points to then go on boats to the UK are military-aged males, which I will show you now when I can find the video. So here's the video coming up on screen for you in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Chris Philp, as I said, has been over in northern France. This is from is it Gravelines or Gravelines, however you say it? The French police have been actively facilitating illegal immigration. The officers, likely UK funded, are ushering illegal immigrants onto a public bus to take them toward the boat embarkation points. This is from northern France. This was posted 2 days ago. And as you'll see, the troubling trend is, ladies and gentlemen, as we're told, these are refugees, asylum seekers, all the rest of it. Troubling trend is that the vast majority of the people who are facilitated and getting onto these buses by the French authorities are indeed military-aged men.
So what we can see here is a large group of illegal migrants being shepherded onto a public bus. French police, as you can see, are present and are heading towards embarkation points where illegal crossings of the channel will happen very shortly. These people are going to probably be at a hotel somewhere near you soon. This is a symptom of the complete inactivity by French law enforcement, and it's a symptom of the Labour government's total loss of border control. Is happening right now, right behind me. So what we can...
So there you go. But apologies about that if anything happened, ladies and gentlemen. All I know at the moment is that my laptop completely froze. My laptop completely froze, and I believe I'm now back. You might have seen a jump cut there because my laptop froze midway through saying that. And like I was saying, my screen went completely white. The web page went completely white. So I'm not sure what happened there. Sincere apologies for that. Let me see if I can just... There we go. Let me see if I can bring this back up. Hopefully this will still work. Right, okay. I think it's back. I hope it's back. Just bear with me 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see... We'll just go here, for example. Let's just use this as an example. Vast majority, there's one female, I believe, hiding just down behind Chris somewhere here. Possibly another female then as well. There we go. So you can just see, I believe it's the head of a female just over the top of Chris's head here. But the vast majority of them, military-aged, very healthy, for the most part, looking males. So again, the narrative completely falls apart when you see this stuff, but we have to take it into account. We have to understand that people trying to masquerade as our allies, like France and people like that, are not actually our allies because they are actively facilitating this. Sadly, many people, particularly of a liberal bent, do not understand the ramifications of it, do not understand why these people are coming from. They're stuck in this suicidally empathetic mode. But not only that, they fail to understand that just because we have criminals in this country as well, that doesn't mean we should leave the door open to criminals coming from everywhere else in the world and leave the door open to the third world and people that have nothing in common with us whatsoever. So... this was from Liam Tufts, was posted a couple of days ago, and he was at, I believe this is outside the Copthorne Hotel, and he's actually speaking to some of the people that are there protesting in favour of letting these people come into the country, mind you. Let's hear some of their reasons that they had for it.
Well, I'm prepared to stand here amongst all of you, and how do I know none of you are rapists and murderers?
Well, we've all got a national insurance number. We've all got a track background. We can all get DBS checked. What checks have they had that give you so much confidence to want them in your village?
They all get entered into the country and registered.
Yeah, do you think criminals should be sent to jail? Do you think criminals should be punished? Because when they land on our shores, that's a crime immediately. Should they get arrested or should they get housed?
I think they should be supported to get some safety, because what drives someone to make a dangerous boat crossing?
Are they not safe in Calais?
So he asked then, are they not safe in Calais? But what drives somebody to commit a dangerous boat crossing? That's the fact in this instance they know they're going to get benefits, and they know they're going to be able to do exactly what the hell they bloody want. Particularly with, in Britain we do. We do have a lot of beautiful women in this country, which in many instances have been the premier victims of this kind of stuff, right? Not least of which, I'm not conflating the two terms there to make myself sound like a creep. The other main victim of the kinds of things that have happened as a result of mass immigration, both illegal and legal, has been children. They've been the primary victims of stuff like this. Because a lot of people, they're coming from cultures that have nothing in common with our own, and in many instances despise us. A lot of these people, they despise us. Right? And they're doing so for not good reasons. But at the very least, they're doing so because France is already safe, not for a native French person, but France is already safe. So then what makes them need to come to Britain? It is the additional things that Britain offers. Namely all of the benefits at taxpayer expense. They have to pay for nothing. They get treated like royalty. That's what they're coming here for, because they don't get those same benefits elsewhere in Europe. Hell, Poland won't even let them in. Illegally. Poland will turn them away at gunpoint. It makes you think maybe we should start doing the same. But the next part really gets me. So first part is what would motivate them to make this dangerous boat crossing, right? It's the additional benefits they're going to get when they're here versus what they currently get in France, right? And the guy we talked about last time, I believe it was, the Yemeni guy who said that he was going to bring his family over, said exactly the same thing. They said the French, they kicked them out. The French police deport them or whatever. The British police welcome them in, right? Changing in societal attitudes as well, the absolutely ridiculous levels of suicidal empathy that we have, particularly on the case of hyper-liberal, pridefully ignorant females, usually, who are part of these charities, like Care for Calais and stuff like that, who literally are dancing in the middle of a circle of these people whom, again, we get called, misogynists and all of these disgusting things just because maybe we want to have a nice, safe society and a family, and understanding that maybe there's certain roles within that both the man and the woman need to embody. We call them a misogynist if you say that, if you object to like the whole culture and everything like that has taken over the West. But, you have this example, things are going on in Calais, some of the sick videos you see coming out on there, and you just know exactly, if you're a man, you know exactly how these other men are looking at this woman. You know exactly, and it's not good, I can promise you that. We have a young boy, or seems to be a young boy anyway, teenager coming up next and saying about, well, hang on, should we just deport all men? Should we deport all the rapists? And this highlights another point, really. And I'm going to bring up a really sick case of something that happened, which somebody made me aware of as well, to highlight this, in that there should be differences in how we handle these things, because one is our problem and one is not our problem, right? So here's what the gentleman says in this clip.
I mean, there are plenty of white British men who are rapists. We don't, say, oh, yes, let's deport all men. Let's kill all men. Because doing that would reduce child rape to zero. Why don't we deport all the white British men? They sometimes rape children.
Have you got a family?
Yes, I do.
You got children?
No, I don't have children of my own yet.
So it's easy for us to say, because I'm in a similar position. I don't have children of my own yet, but I'm to weigh in on this a little bit, because he said something there that was flat out incorrect, and that is you would have child rape reduced to zero if you got rid of all the men. No, you wouldn't. Because you do have disgusting paedophiles that are female. As I get on to in a moment. But the difference is that if they're of Britain, i.e. if they're a British person, one of the ethnic peoples of these isles, right? If they're a Welsh person, if they're a Scottish person, if they're an English person, if they're an Irish person, that makes them our problem. If they're a disgusting person, if they're a disgusting child abuser or a paedophile or something like that. So take the example of something that happened a little while ago, a couple of years ago. Two people who were dubbed the Fred and Rose West, right, of Barry, right? And they're a couple that were guilty of some of the worst sex crimes that's ever been documented. And I was made aware of this recently, and I had to talk about it. So you have Avril and Peter Griffiths. They've denied a string of charges from the 1980s and 90s, and they've been convicted, they're husband and wife, and they've been convicted of raping and indecently assaulting young girls. So they're from Barry, and they've been dubbed the Fred and Rose West of their estate. They abused girls on a boat and at home in the 1980s and 1990s. One of their victims said that she had been passed around like a sex toy. Judge Jeremy Jenkins said that the couple could both expect to spend a considerable time in jail when they were sentenced on 18th of October. Before remanding the pair in custody, he said, "If I am satisfied either of you is a dangerous offender, an extended or even life sentence would be appropriate." Okay, I don't even think that's enough. I don't even think that's enough. So who are these people? Who are these people? Peter Griffiths was found guilty of 8 offences of rape, two of taking an indecent photograph of a child and 3 of indecent assault, while his wife was found guilty of 5 offences of rape, 2 of taking an indecent photograph of a child and 2 of indecent assault. So there's your first example that if you were to remove all of the men from society, you would still have disgusting crimes against children, because they're not all men. They're not all men. But I'm going to read you now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to pull something up from my phone, a message which someone sent me when they made me aware of this. I knew I had to bring it up. I can't remember, I don't know where these are sent from, but this is another article, which, again, I'm not sure where this is from, so I can't imagine you'll find it linked down below. So let's see. So throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Peter Griffiths used his wife, who claimed to have a low IQ, as quote-unquote bait to help him ensnare young girls. It seemed no place was off limits for the twisted couple. One rape took place in the back of a van, another on a boat where so-called sex parties were held with police officers said to be on board. At one stage, Avril even held down a young girl, telling her it wouldn't quote-unquote hurt as her husband raped the child. Paedophile Peter Griffiths was described in court as a sinister sexual abuser, and Avril, and sorry, that's where it cuts off at the moment, that's where that screenshot cuts off. As I said, these parties were attended by police officers who were said to be present when at least one rape took place. One victim described the officers as friends of Peter Griffiths, who told the victims he worked as a special constable. The victim told the court that the men would often brag about their jobs, using them as leverage over her and saying no one would believe her if she complained. Often these events were organised through the South Wales Police Social Club. The other victims, too, faced similarly harrowing ordeals. So again, one girl, she was age 13 at the time. The wife held her down whilst the husband raped her. This is truly, truly disgusting. But the difference is, ladies and gentlemen, the difference is, at least as far as I know, is that Peter and Avril Griffiths are not an imported problem. And that does make it different, if not morally, not in any way morally different. So you can argue that the punishment should be just as severe, right, if you have this taking place with a native person versus a non-native person. But the fact of the matter is that the native person doing this, or the native people doing this, is a problem for that nation, and that nation in particular. The imported problem is not. And that's where people, in my opinion, get twisted into knots over this and try and equate it to, again, further the, open borders and hyper suicidally empathetic agenda by saying that because we have bad people in this country, that means we need to keep the doors open to all manner of bad people, that we cannot close off our country to bad people just because we have bad people within our country that we need to deal with. Fact of the matter is, bad people should be dealt with, and justice should always be done, no matter where they're from, but we should stop importing more of these people. We should stop importing more of these people when we have enough problems as it is. And it is different. It is different when a non-native person does it, because they are not our problem. They are not our problem because they're not of our people. We need to deal with this. We also need to deal with the people that have come over here and done it that are not of our people, but that needs to be different. They should have no right to remain here. They should have no right to remain here. And them claiming through the Human Rights Act, them claiming through the ECHR and all of these things, it needs to be done away with. But it is different It's just as morally abhorrent, no matter who does it. But it is different if the offender is someone who is of your people and someone who is not of your people. It is different. Because obviously it would be different, and these people would be very quickly changing their tune if the roles were reversed. If it was us going elsewhere and doing these disgusting things. Hell, that's often what's allegedly been used against us as a historical argument for everything that's going on now, right? So again, they'll acknowledge it when it suits their agenda and when they're able to denigrate their fellow man and fellow country because they've been taught that and they've been indoctrinated into that. But then when it's the other side, when it's against them, or when it's, how can I phrase this? When it's a foreign problem that's been imported to the UK, all of that sensibility goes out the window because then they have to go against their liberal programming, right? It's not in any way morally different if Peter and Avril Griffiths do it as to the Pakistani Muslims that done it, right? From the same atrocities. We're talking about rape of children, right? There's other things, like, as I said, I mentioned on the last episode, where children have been killed. Children have been killed by these gangs. Allegedly, one of the girls, as I mentioned before time and time again, and I'll continue to mention it time and time again as it comes up, Charlene Downs, who has been alleged to have been ground up into kebab meat, quite literally. Okay, that's a whole new level. That's a whole new level. We're not talking about that. But it's just as morally abhorrent when Peter and Avril Griffiths do it as to when Mohammed and Iqbal and Ahmed do it, right? But Peter and Avril Griffiths, very sadly, the scum that they are our people. And we need to deal with those. The others are not. The others are not our people. It's as simple as that.